Enter Jonas Vingegaard, the Danish dynamo who decided that standard crank lengths were just too mainstream. Why settle for the usual when you can pedal your way into the history books of cycling quirkiness? The great crank reduction, Jonas's bold move. In a sport where tradition often reigns supreme, Vingegaard took a detour down innovation lane by opting for 150mm crank arms during his time trials. To put this into perspective, the typical crank length for a professional cyclist hovers around 172.5 to 175mm. So, Jonas's choice is akin to swapping a grand piano for a ukulele, unexpected and eyebrow-raising. The reactions. Colleagues and critics chime in. Unsurprisingly, the peloton and pundits had a field day with this revelation. Spencer Martin, co-host of The Move podcast, didn't mince words. Quote, "I think they're too small in my opinion." One can almost imagine the collective gasp from traditionalists clutching their 175mm cranks in horror. The science, or sorcery, behind the shorter cranks. So what's the method to this apparent madness? Johan Brunel, former pro cyclist and team director, offered some insights. Aerodynamics. Shorter cranks allow for more aerodynamic position. With reduced knee and thigh movement, riders can achieve a lower, more streamlined posture. As Brunel noted, quote, "It allows you to get more aero." Hip angle. A less acute hip angle at the top of the pedal stroke can lead to improved power output and reduced strain. This means less chance of feeling like a pretzel after a long ride. Cadence. Shorter cranks can facilitate a higher cadence, allowing for a faster pedal stroke. However, this might not be a universal benefit as it depends on individual riding styles. The pros and cons, weighing the mini cranks. Pros. Enhanced aerodynamics. Achieving a lower frontal profile can reduce drag, which is crucial in time trials where every second counts. Improved comfort. For some riders, shorter cranks can lead to a more comfortable ride, reducing the risk of hip and knee injuries. Cons. Power output concerns. There's a school of thought that shorter cranks might limit torque, potentially affecting power, especially on climbs. Adaptation period. Switching to shorter cranks isn't as simple as changing socks. It requires a period of adaptation during which performance usually dips. Jonas's take. Silence speak volumes. As for Vingegaard's personal commentary on his unconventional choice, the Danish cyclist has remained tight-lipped, letting his performances do the talking, and talk they did. His time trial victory at the Volta ao Algarve silenced many critics, proving that sometimes thinking small can lead to big results. Jonas Vingegaard's decision to switch to 150mm crank arms has ignited a firestorm of debate. While some hail this move as a stroke of aerodynamic genius, others view it with skepticism, if not outright criticism. The traditionalist outcry, quote, "If it ain't broke." Among the critics are those who see Vingegaard's choice as a departure from time-tested norms. The standard crank length for professional cyclists typically ranges from 170 and 175mm. Vingegaard's shift to 150 cranks is an unprecedented in the World Tour peloton. Biomechanical concerns, the power debate. Critics also raise biomechanical concerns. The argument posits that shorter cranks have limited torque, potentially affecting power output, especially during climbs or sprints. However, studies suggest that crank length has minimal impact on sub-maximal power production, indicating that the relationship between crank length and power output is really complex. The aerodynamics advantage, a counterpoint. On the flip side, proponents argue that shorter cranks can enhance aerodynamics by allowing a more streamlined riding position. Johan Brunel, former professional cyclist and team director, noted that shorter cranks, quote, "allow you to get more aero," as they enable riders to maintain a lower torso position without compromising their hip angle. The Adaptation Challenge: Old Dogs versus New Tricks. Another criticism centers on the adaptation period required when switching to shorter cranks. Cyclists spend years fine-tuning their biomechanics, and such a significant change could necessitate a powerful period of adjustment, potentially affecting performance in the short term. This concern is amplified among riders who have built their careers on specific equipment setups. The industry's stance: a divided peloton. Within the cycling industry, opinions are divided on this topic. Some teams and riders are experimenting with shorter cranks, citing potential benefits in aerodynamics and injury prevention. Others, though, still remain cautious, adhering to traditional equipment standards until more conclusive evidence emerges. This divergence reflects a broader debate within the sport about balancing innovation with proven methodologies. Conclusion: a polarizing innovation. Jonas Vingegaard's adoption of 150mm crank arms has undoubtedly stirred the pot in professional cycling. While some view this as an innovative step towards marginal gains, others caution against straying too far from established norms. As with many innovations in sports, only time will reveal whether this bold move will set a new standard or serve as a cautionary tale for future generations. In the ever-evolving landscape of professional cycling, marginal gains are the name of the game. Jonas Vingegaard's experiment with shorter cranks serves as a reminder that innovation often requires challenging the status quo. Whether this trend will catch on remains to be seen, but one thing's for sure: Jonas has pedaled his way into the spotlight, one small crank revolution at a time. What do you guys think about the smaller crank? Comment down below your opinions and what you think about the topic. Also, before you go, make sure you drop a like on today's video and subscribe if this is your first time here to stay up to date with all of the latest cycling race results, cycling drama, and cycling news. Catch you tomorrow.